What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the 49ers Golden Ticket. My name is Gabriel, and today we are going to use our quarterback play-by-play back to recap that Week 15 victory over the Seattle Seahawks. We're obviously going to take a look at Brock Purdy, the job he's been doing, and talk about the futures of Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo, as well as Arik Armstead's transformation on this defense, which has taken it to another level, the Pro Bowl votes, who got in, who's out, and then, of course, we're going to look ahead to our Week 16 matchup against the Washington Commanders. Stay tuned. All right, you guys made it to the quarterback play-by-play back. This is where we take a look at the game from the quarterback position while still trying to highlight some of the bigger plays and game-changing plays along the way. As always, if you guys have any input or suggestions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comments or follow us and hit us up over at 49ers GT on Twitter and leave your suggestions there. However, until then, here we go.
Seattle's first drive. Dre Greenlaw almost picks one off here after great pressure by the defensive line. Dre Greenlaw making an impact 2 plays in a row here. Almost gets the sack, but bats this pass down. Brock Purdy on play action. Short right to George Kittle for 2 yards. Purdy on 3rd and 5. Short right to McCaffrey for 4 yards. Just showing some impact, Nick Bosa and Arik Armstead here make Geno Smith throw a very strange pass. After the Seahawks punt, Purdy, short right to McCaffrey for 7 yards. McCaffrey, 11 yards after the catch. After 4 straight runs by McCaffrey on 3rd and 3, Purdy, short left to Jennings for 8 yards. Purdy, short left to McCaffrey for 11 yards. Purdy showing off here, fakes left, fakes right, down the middle to George Kittle for a 28-yard touchdown. Extra point is good, 49ers up 7-0. 49ers defense making another play. Talanoa Hufanga blitzes off the edge, gets the sack, fumble, but Seattle recovers. The next play, Seattle tries to throw again. Nick Bosa gets his hands on the ball. After Seattle punts, Purdy, play action, no one open, short left to McCaffrey for 1 yard. Purdy, short right to Ayuk for 3 yards. On 3rd and 6, Purdy throws for the first down, but offensive holding Mike McGlinchey negates it. On 3rd and 16, Purdy, short middle to McCaffrey for 9 yards. After the Niners punt, I just want to show the type of coverage Mooney Ward has. Check that out. DK Metcalf getting locked up. After the 49ers defense forces a 3-and-out, Purdy, short right to Ayuk for 16 yards. Purdy, short middle to George Kittle for 9 yards. After completing 11 straight, Brock Purdy throws his first incompletion, short left to Christian McCaffrey. Purdy once again, incomplete, short right to Brandon Ayuk. After the 49ers punt, Mooney Ward once again locking up DK Metcalf. Seahawks on 3rd and 13, which is 3rd and long, the Achilles heel of the 49ers, running quarterbacks. Here he goes, takes off for a first down. Geno Smith attempts to force a pass over the middle. Talanoa Hufanga almost picks it off. Seahawks settle for a 38-yard field goal, scores 7-3. On 1st and 10, Purdy, deep left, incomplete to George Kittle. Purdy, with nowhere to go, pocket collapsing, scrambles left for 7 yards. Purdy, with nowhere to go, checks it down to McCaffrey for -2 yards. On 3rd and 11, Purdy, incomplete, deep middle to Juwan Jennings, almost picked off by Quandre Diggs. Game-changing play by the defense. Geno Smith, short right to Travis Homer. Dre Greenlaw knocks out the ball, recovered by Mooney Ward. Mooney Ward takes it all the way down to the 5-yard line. McCaffrey, up the middle for a 1-yard touchdown. Robbie Gould, extra point is good. 49ers up 14-3. After the defense forces a 3-and-out, 49ers kneel to end the half. Purdy drops back, scans the field, finds George Kittle open. Kittle on the move, breaks multiple tackles for a 54-yard touchdown. Robbie Gould, extra point is good. 49ers up 21-3. Geno Smith drops back, intended for Tyler Lockett, intercepted by Diamador Lenore, returned for a touchdown. but negated by a Nick Bosa roughing the passer. Wah, wah. Geno Smith sacked by Nick Bosa for negative 11 yards. Seattle's forced to settle for a 51-yard field goal, and it's good. 49ers up 21-6. On 2nd and 9, Purdy, with nowhere to go, sacked for negative 6 yards. On 3rd and 15, Purdy finds Ray McCloud over the middle. McCloud explodes for 16 yards. First down. Purdy, on play action, trips, picks himself up, finds Ray McCloud for 13 yards. Unfortunately, illegal formation. Purdy, short middle to Jauan Jennings for 12 yards. On 3rd and 5, Purdy, incomplete, short right to Ray McCloud. Per usual, showing Wishnowski love on the golden ticket. He punts a beauty here, and the 49ers down it at the 4-yard line. Dre Greenlaw, sent on a blitz here, gets his hands on another Geno Smith pass. Seattle on 3rd and 4, Geno Smith sacked by Samson Ebukam for negative 9 yards. Purdy, short right to Jennings for 11 yards. On 3rd and 15, Purdy trying to make something happen, scrambles left, finds Ray McCloud, but throws it incomplete. After the 49ers defense forces another 3 and out, Purdy deep right to Tyler Kroft for 28 yards. On 3rd and 6, Purdy short middle, incomplete, and dropped by Ayuk. Robbie Gould lines up for a 43-yard field goal, and it's no good. It's still 21-6. With 3.5 minutes left in the game, Geno Smith finds Noah Fant for a 10-yard touchdown. Seattle extra point is good. 49ers up 21-13. On 3rd and 1, 49ers still trying to run out the clock. Brock Purdy scrambles for a first down. Look how he slides inbounds. On 3rd and 2, 49ers still trying to run out the clock. Jordan Mason up the middle, breaks it left for 55 yards down to the Seattle 2-yard line. After 2 49ers kneel downs, they win 21-13.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for us and our 21-13 victory over the Seattle Seahawks on Thursday Night Football. It was a short week, and Brock Purdy, although injured, still came in slinging it. Congratulations to the Niners on clinching the division against the Seattle Seahawks, and we couldn't have done it in a better fashion. Feels great, baby. All right, so let's dive a little bit into Brock Purdy and some of what he's accomplished this year, because it really is unprecedented for a 7th-round rookie to be able to do some of the things he's been doing. However, I don't want to crown him too soon, although it doesn't seem like this is a mirage. This seems like the real deal. But Brock Purdy was a 4-year starter in college at Iowa State, where he had lost a championship and won a championship. So he's kind of been on the roller coaster of things, a little bit of what George Kittle had talked about, to the coolness and the leadership of Brock Purdy, especially alluding to how as a rookie he came in and commanded the huddle right away, telling veterans to pipe down and listen up to him. So that was a shocking moment for some of the veterans, but of course they bought in instantly and realized that this kid is really here to play. Now, Brock Purdy went out and had a game in his first week against the Miami Dolphins, coming in for an injured Jimmy Garoppolo. Usually, a rookie might not have been ready for that position, but as they say, prepare every single week like you're the starter, and that's what Brock Purdy has done, and guess what? He is the starter. He prepared that week like the starter, came in and won the game for the 49ers. I don't want to say for the 49ers, but with the 49ers, playing a very, very strong complementary role to that offense where he did have Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Jauan Jennings, who's really stepped it up these past couple of weeks. And of course, Ray McCloud, who's also been stepping it up in the return game, and then now recently stepping in for an injured Deebo Samuel, taking on some of that Deebo Samuel role. But back to Brock Purdy, who's playing out of his mind right now. His mobility is pretty evident. Although he's not fast, he seems to be elusive. His arm talent also has been on display. Now, he doesn't have the strongest arm, as they keep telling us, but he seems to be able to make all the throws. Now, that could just be a timing thing. And with that timing, is he able to I know I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but is he going to be able to translate some of that into teaching Trey Lance how to do some of that timing? Because Trey Lance does have the big arm, but if he can knock down some of the timing that Brock has, well, Trey Lance might be a really special quarterback. Now, as mentioned, I don't want to jump ahead. This is right now about Brock Purdy, who has a 66.9 Pro Football Focus grade. It's steadily been going up every single week since he's taken over the job. Trey Lance, however, only has a 53.1 grade in those first 2 games. Now, one of them was the monsoon, so a lot of people, including myself, want to give him a pass for that. But Jimmy Garoppolo, who was playing the best football of his career this season, came in at a grade of 71.4, which I think is the best of Jimmy Garoppolo's career, and Brock Purdy's just under him. Now, some people are arguing that Brock Purdy's playing better than Jimmy Garoppolo, and right now is actually giving them a better chance to win the Super Bowl. Like I said, I do want to pump the brakes on that a little bit, because Garoppolo is experienced. He's played in the playoffs, not well. He might be one of the worst playoff quarterbacks statistically, but he does have that playoff experience. And then, of course, he sat behind Tom Brady and won a couple of Super Bowls and then lost one of his own with the 49ers. So Garoppolo is definitely a cog in the system still. They didn't put him on IR, meaning he can still come back this season. Now, depending on how good Brock Purdy is playing, I think they might just keep Jimmy on the bench for the rest of the year. That would also, I think, benefit Jimmy Garoppolo, just so he doesn't fight to rehab this offseason or risk any further injury or whichever. I think he's better off as the backup now, because Brock Purdy is going to have all the rhythm and experience going into the playoffs and potentially the Super Bowl. You don't want to bring someone in who hasn't played for 6 weeks or however long Jimmy's going to be sitting for and then expect them to go win you a football game when there is someone who has been winning you football games and playing smart football, not turning the ball over, in Brock Purdy, and is also already in rhythm with the team. So don't want to disrupt that rhythm. But again, in case something happens, Jimmy Garoppolo is definitely eligible to come back this season. And well, he is playing the best ball of his career. Maybe his playoff stats will improve if, God forbid, something happens to Purdy. Trey Lance, on the other hand, will stay on IR. The 49ers originally, I thought, had 2 IR spots left to return, and I thought they'd used them both on Javon Kinlaw, who I fully expect to play this weekend, and Kalia Davis, a 6th-round rookie. But Kalia Davis is actually coming off the NFI list. So they did activate him this week, but the NFI list is a list for players that were actually not healthy at all for the 49ers this season. His injury dates all the way back to college, so he was never actually on the 49ers active roster, so they couldn't remove him and put him on IR. But they are activating him this week, and I'm not so sure he's going to play, but maybe they just want to get him a few practice reps just so he can understand the game from a professional level, and that way, year 2 coming in, he's not coming in as a completely new rookie who's confused and isn't sure what to do. He will come in with a little bit of experience and be able to catch a rhythm quickly. Enough about Kalia Davis, though. The 49ers did use one of those IR spots on Kinlaw, and I believe they'll use the other one on Elijah Mitchell when the playoffs come. I'm not so sure they believe in Jordan Mason the way that a lot of fans do, including myself. Jordan Mason has been very good for the 49ers, but only used really at the end of games to close out games, which you would think means they trust him, but it does feel like they're riding McCaffrey pretty hard in the first parts of the game. But let's talk about the guy they brought back from IR a couple weeks ago in Arik Armstead. Now, he hadn't played much this season, so maybe it took him a week or 2 to get his legs under him. But boy, what a difference Arik Armstead has made on this defense, stuffing the run, getting in pass lanes, and really making it tough on quarterbacks, offensive lines, and opposing running backs even. The middle of the line is getting shut down by Armstead, and we're not giving up gashes up the middle quite as frequently. Of course, our linebackers are still amazing. Fred Warner, the best in the game, but Dre Greenlaw right now might just be playing at a higher level. I don't know if that's going to continue and he just becomes a better linebacker than Fred Warner, which would be unbelievable. But he is definitely playing at that Fred Warner, maybe a little better level. Greenlaw is all over the field all the time. It's it's a joy to watch this group. This defense is one of the few defenses that I actually enjoy watching. The way they swarm to the ball, the way they bring the intensity, and the way they tackle. Jimmy Ward and Charvarius Ward, two guys in the 49ers secondary, are absolutely lighting up ball carriers, whether it be receivers, running backs, quarterbacks. I mean, they're getting their nose dirty and they are tackling everything they see, and there's just no fear there. To go along with their coverage skills, these are complete players, and it's fun to watch them work, especially Jimmy Ward, because he is in a contract year, and a lot of people, including myself, felt he might have been getting kind of screwed on his last year of his deal, because they moved him from safety, where he should have been a Pro Bowl player, an all-pro player, to slot cornerback, where he had to adjust and start relearning how to play, because the 49ers, when Jimmy Ward first got drafted in the first round, the 49ers moved him around a ton all over the secondary. And so he never really got the opportunity to get settled into a position. Every year he was learning a new position in the secondary. And so that's why he never quite established himself. When Kyle Shanahan and his group came in, they kind of moved him permanently to safety. And since, he's been getting better and better and better every single year. And then, of course, this year, look what happens. He goes back to slot cornerback, somewhere where he hasn't been in quite some time, but he has been a difference maker on this defense. I don't want that to get understated. Jimmy Ward is a dog, and the fact that he's willing to do whatever it takes to win just shows his character. I hope the Niners give him his final contract, because I think Jimmy Ward is 32 years old and able to get one more decent contract. I would love for that to be with the 49ers, but I would understand if Ward went and got his money elsewhere. He's a very deserving player. But wow, what a piece to this defense. Now, speaking of defense, only 3 of our players on defense made the Pro Bowl. Talanoa Hufanga was a surprise one. I felt like he might, because of his impact every single game and the amount of interceptions. But because he is such a young player, I wasn't sure if he was going to make it. But he did. Congratulations, kid. On your first year starting, you made a first Pro Bowl. And then Nick Bosa, I think that was a shoo-in. Nobody's surprised by that. And All-Pro Fred. But the big snub on this defense, maybe even 2 of them, Dre Greenlaw. We just talked about it. Dre Greenlaw has been every bit as effective as Fred Warner, if not more so. And then Charvarius Ward. The 49ers haven't had cornerback play like Charvarius Ward since Jason's Verrett year in 2020. And then before that, people are saying since Deion Sanders. Now, I don't know if I want to compare that. Deion's an all-time at his position. But Charvarius Ward is playing at a very, very high level. He's shutting down wide receivers. And then he's being aggressive in the run game as well and tackling everybody. So Charvarius Ward, I'm sorry you missed your Pro Bowl, but I believe your name is coming, because you have been killing it. Jumping over to the offensive side of the ball, big Trent Williams there, no surprise at left tackle. George Kittle, no surprise there at tight end. And congratulations to Kyle Juszczyk on another Pro Bowl. He's easily the best fullback in the game. Although they are a dying breed, there's not as many fullbacks, he is still an upper echelon player. The big snub, however, I believe was Christian McCaffrey. He leads all NFC running backs in all-purpose yards, and somehow every other NFC running back made it. No, I'm just kidding, not every single one. But number 1 was Saquon Barkley, very well deserving. Barkley's a heck of a player, but Christian McCaffrey is right there. And then it was Tony Pollard, who's the 1B running back in Dallas, 1A obviously being Ezekiel Elliott, and then Miles Sanders from Philadelphia. And that team overall is just having themselves a heck of a year. But really, no Christian McCaffrey in there? You took the 1B running back in Dallas over CMC, who's leading the entire NFC in all-purpose yards. Okay, makes sense to me. But, that's a snub in my book. And then one more snub. I know maybe you guys don't think so, but I always give this guy love on the 49ers golden ticket, and that's Mitch Wishnowsky. He has been one of the most consistent, solid punters all season long, and frankly, he's actually helped our defense a ton by forcing opposing offenses into terrible field position. Starting from your own 10 or less, every single drive has been very, very difficult for opposing offenses, and something that our defense, I think, is low-key capitalized on, and it's helped improve their grade. I mean, when offenses have to go 90 plus yards every time just to get points, it really helps our defense out. And that is an unspoken part of some of the success on the 49ers. And it's a huge part of what they call playing complementary football, when your offense and defense and special teams all complements each other so they can maximize each other. Enough with the Pro Bowl votes. Real quick though, I do want to say one more thing about Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't believe he'll be back next year, and that's really unfortunate for the 49ers because he's been such a key part of this team for the past 6 years. So I just want to make sure that we give him our respect. Whether or not we felt that he was the franchise quarterback for us or not, he definitely brought a winning culture to our team, and our team has benefited from it with and without him. So Jimmy Garoppolo will most likely be getting a contract from another team this year. And I got to be honest, I fully expect it to be wherever DeMeco Ryans ends up. And originally I thought DeMeco Ryans might end up in Carolina. They got a plethora of picks. They got some playmakers and some good cornerstone pieces there on defense, and just a little bit of tweaking, and I think that team can be well on its way to the playoffs. Jimmy Garoppolo might be the answer at quarterback for that team, but of course now they're missing a running back. CMC's with the Niners. All right, guys, now let's look ahead to our Week 16 matchup against the Washington Commanders, and what are the points of victory? Now, first off, I fully expect Chase Young to make a comeback in this game. Now, for those of you who don't know who Chase Young is, he's a defensive end that was also at Ohio State with Nick Bosa, and during their time there together, there was questions about who was the better player. Now, Nick Bosa came out first, and then Chase Young in the following draft, both top 3 picks, and, well, right now it's Bosa as the better player because Chase Young has not been healthy. But I don't want to get it wrong. Chase Young is a heck of a player, and he's making his comeback this game. At least I believe so. They activated him off IR. A lot of people were shocked he didn't play last week. Maybe they were saving him for the matchup against the Niners so they can compare Nick Bosa and Chase Young and really see where it takes off. But that defensive line for the Washington Commanders is very, very good. Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, and Montez Sweat. They are absolutely wrecking offensive lines. And the 49ers, although they do have a good offensive line, it is not an elite offensive line. I expect Brock Purdy to be under duress. And what are the Niners going to do to combat that? Well, I expect a lot of Christian McCaffrey dump-offs, something that they've been doing all year already. Christian McCaffrey has been a game changer for the 49ers, especially in the pass game. It is such a comfort for these 49er quarterbacks to know that if none of their reads are open, they can dump it off to Christian McCaffrey and get some sort of positive yardage. Overall, this defensive unit is a playoff caliber defensive unit. Will be a great test for the 49ers, and just to see where Brock Purdy is at. Now, some might have said that that would have been against Tampa Bay. They have a top 5 defense themselves, and you're not wrong. That might have been the case. However, that game against Tampa Bay was his first start, so there wasn't a lot of NFL tape on Brock Purdy. So maybe, just maybe, defenses haven't adjusted to him yet, which is part of the reason I don't want to overhype Brock Purdy. I want to pump the brakes a little bit. I don't want kind of what happened with Nick Mullins, where he had 5 really good games, and then all of a sudden he just could not complete passes for us and became a turnover machine as soon as defenses started defending him differently. I'm just worried that's what's going to happen with Brock Purdy. Although he does look legit, it doesn't look quite as scary with him back there in the pocket as it did with Nick Mullins. Going to the other side of the ball, Jahan Dotson and Terry McLaurin, 2 big-time playmakers for that Washington offense. Taylor Heineke has helped stabilize the quarterback position there. It was supposed to be Carson Wentz, somebody who I'm actually a fan of, but Carson Wentz just went in there and made too many mistakes. I don't know if he's not healthy or if he's just pressing too hard and playing not smart football. But Taylor Heineke has come in and played smart football, made good decisions, and given his wide receivers a chance. Terry McLaurin, aka Scary Terry, has been tearing it up since Taylor Heineke took over that team. So Charvarius Ward is going to have his hands full with Terry McLaurin. But on the other side of Terry will be Jahan Dotson, the Washington first-round pick at wide receiver. He's a burner with good hands, and he can go up and get the ball. I really like Jahan Dotson. He might be a bit undersized, but he will surprise you with his athleticism. And the Washington football team is starting to trust him more and more and get the ball to him more and more. So the 49ers are going to need both Diamador Lenore and Charvarius Ward to have one of their best games yet. And then last but not least, as mentioned, with Arik Armstead back, I don't expect big things from their running back duo of Brian Robinson, who got shot in the leg, by the way, this season as a rookie. And of course, he made a miraculous comeback. It's a really cool story. You could probably find it on YouTube or on ESPN somewhere. But it's a really neat story with Brian Robinson, somebody who I actually thought the Niners might have been interested in, but instead we took Tyrion Davis-Price. Either way, he's their lead back right now, and he's being complimented by Antonio Gibson, who Ron Rivera, the head coach of the Washington Commanders, who was the head coach of the Carolina Panthers when Christian McCaffrey was there, has since compared Antonio Gibson to Christian McCaffrey. They have very similar skill sets, but I think McCaffrey is just a step above right now. Not to take anything away from Antonio Gibson, but with Arik Armstead back on this defensive line and possibly Javon Kinlaw making his first comeback start this week, I'm not threatened by the run game. And that's why I have this one going 49ers 28, Washington 16. All right, everyone, you made it to the end. That's going to wrap it up for us here at the 49ers Golden Ticket. I appreciate all of your guys' time today. And as always, if you ever have any suggestions, comments, or otherwise, don't hesitate to leave them in the comments or hit us up and follow us over at 49ers GT on Twitter. Always looking to bring quality content to you and just cover the team that we love. As always, go Niners.